And I already almost died. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another day of the StarsWar 11 qualifiers, the Korean Closed Qualifier day number 1. It is great to see you all once again as we have wrapped up with all the other regions. We've wrapped up with Asia, with the Americas, with Europe, and now we have one region left to determine who will join all the previously qualified players into the main event, into StarsWar 11, into the offline finals, which will be taking place over in China. I do apologize, we have been missing a couple of broadcasts recently. We have been missing a couple of broadcasts like ESL Open Cup Asia, ESL Open Cup Americas, Master Swan Open. There have been a couple of key events that we have been missing out on. I do apologize, but a big reason for it is last week I returned to Australia and I've been sick. You can probably hear it a little bit in my voice, but I've been sick, I've been unwell. Thankfully, Yaku was with me for the Club VX Ducklings Showdown, so I was able to have a co-caster, so I could kind of, you know, share the load a little bit with Yaku there. I may be solo casting any ladder or casting any of the new maps or new matches yet either. If you remember, we did cast the For Jumi show match last week, which did actually feature the new maps, and the new maps look like a lot of fun. I have my own thoughts. I have my own thoughts on the maps, and I have my own thoughts on what is to come. But here we go. We're using the new map pool. We have Game 1 on Crimson Core, Game 2 on Ghost River, and Game 3 on Oceanborn. I was going to say, if you're curious about my thoughts on the new patch, then tune into the podcast that we recorded and sent live a couple of weeks ago. We did record ourselves covering the podcast, covering the new patch, and there's a lot to go over. In to Crimson Court, and spawning the one take order, we have Maru for Team Vitality, and in the top right we have as opponent, we have the Protoss Korean. It is Stats. Here we go. Okay, Crimson Court. Now, something that we have noticed when it comes to the new map pool that's is very controversial right now is the fact that of the new maps, zero standard maps in the new map pool. When it comes to the new additions, maps like Crimson Core, maps like Ghost River, and many other maps as well. Let me just get a list. Ghost River, what are the other ones? Amphion, Dynasty as well. They all have their own quirks, they all have their own twist of things. Very few standard maps in the new map pool here, which, you know, is a good thing and a bad thing, right? On the one hand, it's really spicy and it's really cool to see a new take on the game, and it is going to impact a lot of these games and a lot of these matchups. But it does mean that you know, these more standard games, or at least the standard maps, they aren't really here anymore, at least in this iteration, at least in this map pool. So I'm curious to see how that impacts the meta. I think that's what a lot of people are really concerned about, that I've been seeing on social media, is a lot of people are concerned that you know, standard mid games and even getting towards the late game as well isn't really going to be too much of a thing anymore. But I think it's a little bit too soon to say that, so we'll see. We shall see how the meta really shapes up and how it settles. For now, double gas opener. Okay, double gas opener out of Maru. With that, we're going into a faster factory, a much more aggressive start from our blue Terran player. Meanwhile, when it comes to the features of this map, very short rush distance by ground, especially considering that you can actually mine into and take these pocket bases. And yeah, there we go. We're going to be checking here. There are gold mineral walls all around the edges of the map that can be mined through to expand towards these more fringe locations. We'll see if we can make use of them. Again, if you were here last week, you would have seen us cast this map between For Jumi and Namshar. They both played on this. It was a very interesting map. Namshar tried to go for a drone rush. He pulled like 6 drones and mined through the mineral patches and just link flooded. Didn't work. It did not quite work, but it was an interesting take here on Crimson Core. Because of all those mineral walls, like, you can actually open up this other attack path, open up this other attack avenue is available to you. For now though, it is going to be a Stargate opener out of Stats, and I believe he hasn't quite seen the main base of Maru. He's not fully aware of how aggressive Maru intends to be. As we can see, it is going to be a double Reaper opener into Hellion. This is a little more old school. Okay, there's so much to talk about right now. My voice isn't helping me. Oh god. Okay, So a couple of things. Gas openers in the previous in the previous patch, so I'm saying like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it could lead into Cyclone-based openers, but with the change to the Cyclone, with the nerf to the Cyclone, that may have killed Cyclone openers and Cyclone play in the early game in TvP, as we're going back to Reaper Hellion instead. Meanwhile, with Reaper Hellion, you need a wall. There is no wall, there is no SimCity. We dive into the mineral line and probes are going down. We're going to get 2 worker kills, we're going to get a 3rd probe. Can we get a 4th? Can we get a 5th even? We're getting up to 4 kills already. Pretty good damage dealt so far. We get a full scout of the main base. We get confirmation. We get a 5th probe towards the end. And we do get eyes on the building phoenixes. 6 probes even. Very nice damage dealt by Maru. You may be thinking, hold up, didn't he throw away his army? Well, Hellions and Reapers, they're designed to be thrown away. They don't scale well into the mid game. They don't scale well as the game progresses. You want to trade them out as best you can by economic damage, and also with scouting, right? We're fully aware of what's going on. Now we're preparing back at home. Now we do see a Cyclone in production, but that is a defensive Cyclone. That is because we're up against a Stargate opener. We need as much anti-air as possible to defend, to protect our mineral lines, and to defend our bases. And speaking of, here we go. We have 2 Phoenixes already heading towards that natural base. We do get 1 SCV, but only 1, as from here, stats will back off. Again, just building up his Phoenixes. He's got 3, he's got a 4th on the way, and working towards the Robo. You know, we may get some new patches, we may get some new maps, but the reality is that Phoenix Colossus is forever, and that's most likely what Stats is working towards. Does actually intercept that Liberator. Big catch there from Stats. Doesn't just intercept, but it also scouts, confirms that there is a Liberator on the field, and Stats is going to be that much more aware and that much more wary of it. So pretty good movement so far. Behind this we can see an add-on swap. We're getting into an additional Cyclone, into Raven production, additional Raxus for Bio. Ooh, as we move out, Stats moves in. Very nicely done here as we get 3 SCVs and a Mule. Meanwhile, Maru does not turn back around. He's committing, he's moving out across the map. Is spotted by the Observer. Is spotted. We do have eyes on him. Shield battery overcharge is available. We have the Immortal on the way, but is there enough on the ground to hold? It will come down to these Phoenixes. Does come down to how well we can make use of them. Can we pick off that Lib? Can we pick up these Cyclones? Now, when it comes to the change of the Cyclone, as it looks like we do force the Unsiege, for those who are maybe a little bit unawares, it used to have a 0-second lock-on cooldown. Now it's 3 seconds. Or technically it's 2.8. It's like 2.815 or something. But regardless, there is now a cooldown period on that lock-on, which means you can micro against the Cyclone like we used to. Ooh, and we're chasing down that Liberator. Liberator is barely gonna survive. Oh, does barely survive, does barely back off. Maru is able to come back home. Now, what's important about what just happened? Maru, as he moved out, he forced back Stats, but Maru didn't commit. Maru didn't lose anything. He saved the Liberator. He comes back home, retains his units, and now we live to fight another day. Now we can build up towards a follow-up push with Stim with 1-1. So very important here that Maru was able to, again, preserve as many units as possible. He does have a 3rd CC, so he's not going for a 2-base all-in. He's building up towards a 3rd. At the same time, those Stats, he has successfully survived long enough to get into Colossus production. Again, this is another big feature of this map, is the fact that it is quite small. There aren't that many attack paths. There's one attack path unless you open up the mineral walls, and because of that, like, it's a little bit easier to scout, a little bit easier to get a read on what your opponent's doing and fortify yourself and get your defenses ready. Stats is looking solid. Still has opted not to mine through those mineral patches, by the way, taking the standard triangular 3rd base. I'm curious if he's going to take the forward 4th or if he will mine through some of these minerals. If he does try to access some of these other fringe locations on the map, they're pretty well defendable and pretty well fortified is what I will say. So I kind of want to see that from Stats, but we'll see. As Phoenixes, they do dip in, and they do dip the hell out. Gonna get a couple more SCVs here. 4 more SCVs go down again. You can see that these Cyclones are having a bit of a harder time keeping up. A bit of a harder time dealing with those Phoenixes. Gonna be recalling back home. Back at home, speaking of, how many Colossi do we have? We have 2. 2 Colossi. The 3rd one is halfway done. We're gonna get the 3rd one by the time any kind of move out happens. So, Stats, he's hitting critical mass. He's hitting critical mass of Colossi. We're gonna get all 3. Likewise, Maru is pushing. Once again, there he's spotted by Stats. Does get eyes on this. Show us the force fields. So far, good swipes here from the Colossi. No force fields yet. Raven is exposed. It's going to be targeted down. Again, good snipe on the Raven. Liberator heads up towards the right-hand side. Is going to be denying some mining time, but no major kills. Good defense so far at his stats. Able to force him back, but ooh, the Phoenix is out of position. As the Phoenix is out of position, we go for a big Doom drop here into the main base, a triple drop into the main. We are out of position here. The Cyclone's going to be shut down, but do we have a recall? We do not. We get 10 worker kills. And we depower a lot of gateways. We're going for the Cyber Core. That's going to be a kill. It's going to be a snipe on the Cyber Core. And from here, we can try to leave, but there are Phoenixes. Yeah, they're ready to intercept. They can maybe get one medevac. Up. They get one. They barely get one. Decently full medevac. And we're going to try and hunt down the rest. Yeah, it's going to be a good cleanup here from Stats. So even though Stats did lose 10 workers, I mean, he shuts down 2 full medevacs. Pretty good damage dealt there. But Maru, he has a lot of momentum on his side. He hasn't lost a single worker in quite some time. He was losing SCVs earlier to the Phoenix Harass, but he's been left alone. And now it's his turn to pull his opponent apart. Mindshot's going to be going off. Oh, I forgot about that. But you can see the new targeting system on those widow mines. A lot more noticeable. Again, good positioning here from Maru. Is going to lose everything though. Does get a couple of probes. Was that an overextension is the question. Did we lose and throw away a little bit too much? At the same time, there's going to be another push here towards the left-hand side. But so far, Stats, he is keeping up. Oh, Mindshot going off. Good avoidance so far. Oh, another Mindshot does connect with the bulk of those Zealots. But Stats, he does hold on to that 4th. For now, he is holding. Recall is going to be available here for Stats if he does need a recall in a moment of desperation. Trying to pre-split his army. Maru trying to pull him apart. Mine shots are going to be going off. But yeah, what's interesting is that so far, up until now, we've only casted Zergs and Protosses on the new patch, so I haven't actually seen what the new Widowmine like reticule looks like with the laser. And it's quite bright. It's square. It's very it's very noticeable. That's going to be loading up, going for another Doom drop into that natural. Again, Stats out of position. Probes are going down. At the same time, Maru setting up for a push towards the left-hand side, towards the 3rd base. We depower the Forge. We focus on both Phoenixes as well. Stats leaving his army a little bit idle, but he does come across this army. He's a little bit more proactive here on the left-hand side. Does catch out the Widow Mines. And again, a much more active, I guess, maneuvering of Stats' army here. Able to meet Maru in the center, force him back. And the army sizes are looking pretty similar so far for both Maru and Stats. I'll be honest, I think Maru's 4th is late. I thought that he would have already had it by now, but he still hasn't quite expanded. Is floating over as we speak. Ooh, boys are being pulled. Yeah, the boys are here. Colossi going hand. Good juggling here out of Stats. Keeping those Colossi alive, but oh, the EMP was brutal. And with that EMP, we shut down every single Archon. And yes, 20 SCVs may have gone down, but it looks like we may be able to, yeah, we can break this entire army. The Colossi and the Prism all go down. GG gets called. Stats losing everything in that fight, and Maru takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there out of Maru, but what I will say is that I've been very impressed here by Stats. Now, Stats is a very interesting player because, honestly, Stats, he returned from the military quite some time ago. A year ago, maybe more than a year at this point. I think a year ago, essentially. And Stats hasn't really been looking too impressive, at least in 2023. 2023 was an interesting year just because it did seem like Stats, yeah, he returned, but he was just being active. He was having a hard time really improving and really breaking into the Korean scene. And I would have said that leading into IEM Katowice as well. But for whatever reason, I don't know if maybe qualifying for IEM really did motivate Stats quite a lot. But post IEM Katowice, especially coming into GSL and even events and weeklies thereafter, like Stats has been looking much more impressive. You know, if you've been watching the channel, you would know that whenever we cast Stats here, Like, he's just been getting better and better, getting better results, looking even stronger against players like Dark, for example. Dark being the best Zerg player in all of South Korea, one of the best Zergs in the world. And stats has been looking pretty good, pretty damn impressive. And even though stats may have lost in game 1, I mean, he was holding his own against Maru. Definitely holding his own. When it came to his push and how committed he was there from stats, I do think that he didn't have to commit there in that fight. Remember, stats had a 4th base. Maru still was on 3 bases. Like, stats, he didn't have to try to go for the kill. I mean, his opponent was vulnerable there, sure, but yeah, alas, in the end, maybe misjudging the situation, did end up losing that game. But now we're getting into game number 2, and in the top left-hand corner of Ghost River, we have Maru. And in the top right, we have his opponent, Stats. Let's go. And when we spoke earlier about how, when it comes to the new map pool, there aren't really any standard maps in the new map pool. Well, when it comes to the new maps themselves, I should say, is another one with a very short rushes. Very giga short rushes is background. It's like a screen away, natural to natural. But there's a bit of a give and take. So on Ghost River, yes, very short rushes since background, true. But at the same time, the ramps are very narrow. You can see them here towards the left. Very narrow ramps. There are minerals that you can mine through to open up another attack path. Once again, there's a lot of mineral walls so far in the new maps. Or we looked at them when we casted the show match, but I believe in every single new map there's some kind of mineral wall in some way, shape, or form. That's just a trend with the new maps. Interesting that that's the case. But yeah, just really short rushes and spike ground. But again, because of those narrow choke points, it does mean that certain all-ins are going to be a little bit weaker, or can be kind of nipped in the bud ahead of time if you can, get in position as a defending player. So yeah, it's an interesting map. Again, short rush distance by air, not just ground, so that's something else to bear in mind. This time though, Maru mixing it up, doesn't go for a double gas opener. He's going for a Rax expand, a single gas opener here out of Maru, and Stats does confirm. Did not mean to make you feel worse. Hope you're feeling better. No, it's okay, papi. It's okay. Didn't make me feel worse, papi. It's all good, I said. It's all good. Also, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Darking el Padrino in the chat. Oh my god. Bienvenidos. Welcome. Just feeling a little bit under the weather, but good to see you. Good to see you, papi. I'm just drinking as much water as I can. I'm hydrating my Hydra body. But as we settle into this again, Maru going for a much more economic opener this time, so less aggressive overall. Meanwhile, Stats, instead of going for a Stargate opener, is going for a Twilight Council opener instead. I do like this. It does give Stats a lot more options, especially early on. Ooh, as it looks like the clean feed has gone down. Oh okay, we're good. that was concerning. For those that are curious, we do cast from a clean feed. We are not in-game. Adepts are going to be shading in towards that natural base. We do pick off one of the Hellions, and we might get a second. Oh, do we chase it down? We try to, but no, the Hellion will escape, so Stats is forced back for now and hasn't been able to deal too much economic damage. Oh my god. SCBoy, calm down. Got a glimpse of their in-game folder for a moment, but it's all good. But yeah, I do love Twilight Council opener here for Stats. It does give him a little bit more flexibility when it comes to how aggressive he wants to be. Speaking of aggression, he already has a gateway. He has 2 more on the way. That's going to be 3 gate blink in total. We could go up to 4 gateways as well. And this tells us that Stats is going to be more active with his blink stalkers, which again, I do appreciate. Really nice micro out of Maru. Oh my god. Pulling back that weakened Marine and cleaning that Adept up. Meanwhile, here comes a mine drop towards the main base. Is spotted by the probe. Mine drop has been spotted, and Stats should not take too much damage here, as we should be able to zone this away. Ooh, 1 medevac does go down, 2 Mines borrow, but shot's gonna get baited out, and we should be able to clean this up. And Maru splitting up his forces, but yeah, there's no escaping these stalkers. He's trying to buy some time here, but yeah, we have Blink, and we clean up every single Widow Mine. 2 probes for 3 Widow Mines, not worth it for Maru. And now we can counterattack. Now, when it comes to 3-gate Blink, this does allow you to reinforce and to apply a lot of pressure. This is not an all-in. Bear that in mind. We should be expanding. We should be taking a 3rd base behind this. As I say that, we delay the 3rd base from Stats, and we're going for a Bay and a Forge first. So, very safe play out of Stats. He wants to make sure he can get into Colossi production and upgrades first before he gets into his economy. Meanwhile, Maru, he's pretty well set up here. We've got a bunker, we got a tank, we got Cyclones in position. We blink up into the main base, but big tank shot's going to be going up. And we are forced out. So good defense out of Maru. Barely losing anything. And this builds from Stats, bearing in mind, because it was only 3-gate Blink, he doesn't have to force the issue. He doesn't have to force the all-in. I mean, again, he is an all-in. He's just containing his opponents and expanding. Meanwhile, across the map, Banshee does arrive, getting a couple of probe kills, 4 probes in total. Pretty good damage so far. As I say that, those Stats, he sneaks in behind the mineral line, and he'll get a couple of SCVs of his own. And he will deny some mining time. Getting 1 SCV. Banshee dips in, gonna get 1 extra probe before going down. And Stats, he has cleaned it up, he has held. Colossus production well underway. And from here, Stats is going to be building up 3 bases. It's going to be all about whether or not he can survive and build up his Colossus count, or if Maru can stop him. Good. Behind this, we have Charge. Meanwhile, Maru is basically stuck at home until he has Stim. And Stim is on the way, thankfully, for Maru. So he's going to be stuck building up at home, building up a tank count, so working towards +1. Stim, combat shields, Probe's going to be going down. Very nice Raven harass. What I'm keeping my eye on is whether or not Maru throws down a 3rd. Because this playstyle out of Maru, he can actually pull the boys and go for a 2-base all-in. And on a map like Ghost River, I'm not opposed to pulling the boys. I'm not opposed to 2-base all-ins. But even though I'm not opposed to it, I mean, Maru can still work towards a longer game. Doesn't have to go for an all-in by any means. That's why I'm keeping my eye out for his first CC. And there it is. We have the 3rd command center on the way, so we're not going all in. Ooh, 7 probes go down across the map. That's actually pretty impactful. That's huge. 7 worker kills. Now we come in for a mine drop. Other splits! Ooh, splits are a little bit too late. 5 more probes go down, and here comes a push from Maru, and Stats, he's falling apart a little bit here. Again, even though Stats has had a 3rd base for quite some time, even though he's making 3 probes at a time, he's lost so many workers. Recalls prison back home. Now, Maru, this move out isn't designed to kill, but it is designed to maim. It is designed to maybe pick off a Colossus, trade with the Stalkers, get some economic damage done, while we expand behind this. Maru diving into the natural. Bold move out of Maru. Widow Mines will be worrying. We're going straight from the middle line. Can we get some probes? Decent line shots here on some of the gateway units, but yeah, nothing major. 5 probes go down, but this is major. Yeah, we catch a 3rd mineral line. Stats, he's out of position. 10 probes go down. Mine shot's going to be going up, picking up a pylon as well. Maru just getting as much value as he can here. And he is pulling Stats apart. And Stats, he just barely can't keep up. Forced to pull a couple of probes. Not ideal. 16 probes go down. Oh god, this is too much. 19 probes. And Stats, he's becoming more all in. Like, his economy is crippled. He has to move out, he has to commit, but back at home, how do we push into this? We have bunkers, we have SimCity, we have tanks. Now, the mine drop is coming back in, but that means that those are Widow Mines that aren't helping back at home. They aren't going to be helping back home. 24 probes go down, but we have 3 Colossi across the map. We have Stalkers, we have Charge Lots. Can we break the natural? Can we get on top of that tank? That becomes a question. So I'll say charge it, but the mine shots! Oh, big mine shot's going to be going off. Good force fields here. They do pin back those SCVs. The boys are trying to be pulled. So far, good tank shots here. There's 2 tanks sieged up. And GG gets called. There's no breaking the natural base. Maru far too heavily fortified. And Maru takes the 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A solid series there out of Maru. My condolences to Stats. Didn't look too bad, especially in Game 1. Game 2 was a little bit more, especially towards the end there, was a little bit more Maru-sided, or one-sided towards Maru. But I would say that in Game 1, we had more of a back and forth between Stats and Maru, and that was a little close. That could have gone either way. Regardless, GG, congratulations to Maru as he does advance on into the next round. My condolences to Stats, but if you are a Stats fan, do not worry, because he is still in the tournament, because this is double elimination. So Stats, he's still in the event, just in the lower brackets. Meanwhile, we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, the Terran versus Protoss continues with Pure versus Classic. See you soon. Until then, take this moment to hydrate Hydras, massage your Marines, stretch your roaches. God, even forgetting what we're meant to be doing. Well, what else do we do? We cuddle the Colossus, we tuck in the Tempest, we marinate the Marauders. There was another one that I liked. What was it? Pat your probes? Yeah, pat your probes. Pat. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with Cure versus Classic. See you soon.